The threads connecting powerful figures often weave a tapestry of influence hidden from public view. One such perplexing knot ties together Ehud Barak Jeffrey Epstein Carbine, 911. Barak became a business partner with Epstein after his political career. Their ties were financial and technological, not just social. Barak visited Epstein's properties frequently. Their ventures involved large sums of capital, raising questions. The partnership moved into high-stakes technology, where information equals power. At the center was a company funded by a Barak-managed fund with Epstein's backing. The company, originally Carbine 911, promised to revolutionize 911, real-time video streaming, precise location tracking, instant data sharing from callers' smartphones to dispatchers. But the people behind it cast a long shadow. Financial trails tell the rest. In 2013, Barak formed a company with Epstein that invested millions into Carbine. Capital flowed through opaque channels, hiding who controlled the company. Individuals tied to Israeli military intelligence gained direct stakes in America's emergency communications. Conflicts of interest and dual loyalties were built into the corporate structure. History of the key players is alarming. Barak, not just a politician, a decorated commando. Barak, former head of Israeli military intelligence. Epstein ran a sophisticated sexual blackmail operation targeting the global elite. Their convergence on a system that can access panicked citizens' calls demands rigorous scrutiny. Carbine's technology, on its surface, appears to be a logical and necessary evolution for emergency services. The ability to access a caller's camera, access a caller's microphone, pinpoint their exact location via GPS and pull data from their device could undoubtedly save lives in active shooter situations or medical emergencies. The company marketed itself as a solution provider, a technological savior for an outdated system. However, the architecture of this solution contains vulnerabilities that could be exploited by those with privileged access. The data is not merely transmitted, it is routed through Carbine's proprietary cloud-based platform. This centralized model means the company, and by extension its backers, holds the keys to a vast repository of sensitive, real-time information. This architecture raises a critical question. Could this system function as a backdoor for foreign intelligence? Given that Carbine was founded by Israeli intelligence veterans and funded by figures like Ehud Barak, the concern is not speculative, but structural. The company's leadership has consistently included former members of elite Israeli military intelligence units, such as Unit 8200. These individuals possess a state-mandated loyalty to Israel. Allowing a company with such deep and undeniable ties to a foreign intelligence apparatus to embed itself within the core of America's civil infrastructure is a security risk of the highest order. It would be akin to handing a master key to every home in the country to a foreign power. The potential for misuse goes far beyond passive eavesdropping. Control over the emergency response data stream offers unprecedented opportunities for intelligence gathering. In a moment of national crisis, such as a large-scale coordinated attack, this system could provide a foreign entity with a real-time, nationwide situational awareness feed that even our own agencies might struggle to assemble. It would offer insights into response times, police and fire department deployments, federal agency reactions, and the locations of critical incidents as they unfold. This information is not just tactical, it is strategic. It could be used to monitor, to manipulate, and to act upon vulnerabilities within the American system itself. In the wake of horrific school shootings, a predictable pattern emerges. Public fear create a powerful demand for immediate solutions. Entrepreneurs package surveillance technology as the ultimate security blanket. Aaron Cohen, former Israeli Special Forces, rose to prominence in this space. Cohen's firm, Cherries, promoted the Israeli model of school security. He became a fixture on cable news after each tragedy. He presented himself as an expert with answers to an epidemic of violence. His proposed solutions: more surveillance, more armed personnel, adoption of Israeli-developed security technologies and tactics. His advocacy was framed as protecting children, but it carried a clear profit motive. His media appearances acted as advertisements for his company and the broader Israeli security industry. He argued American schools needed a proactive security posture. That posture translated into expensive services: threat assessments, armed guard training, integration of advanced surveillance systems. This created a market for products and services he and associates sold. Tragedy became a business opportunity to expand the security industrial complex into schools. The push ignored fundamental societal differences between Israel and the U.S.-Israel security posture responds to decades of geopolitical conflict, terrorism, mandatory military service. Importing that model turns schools into fortified compounds. It normalizes armed guards, metal detectors, pervasive surveillance for a generation. The psychological impact on children is rarely addressed. The nexus between Cohen and companies like Carbine shows a broader strategy. Crisis fuels profit. Profit fuels expansion of a surveillance apparatus with foreign ties, sold to a terrified public as safety. The idea that powerful entities might see opportunity in moments of profound national trauma is a deeply unsettling concept. Yet, it has been voiced by influential figures. Perhaps the most infamous example is Benjamin Netanyahu shortly after 9/11's reportedly quoted in the Israeli press. When asked what the attacks meant for U.S.-Israeli relations, he is said to have replied, "It's very good." He then recognized the comment was indelicate and clarified. It would generate immediate sympathy for Israel and sympathy for its fight against terrorism, helping to strengthen the bond between our two peoples. This comment, though later walked back, offers a stark window into a realpolitik mindset. It suggests even the most horrific events can be seen through a cold strategic lens weighed for potential geopolitical benefits. For Netanyahu and others, the shared trauma of 9/11 was not just a tragedy but a strategic opening. It provided an opportunity to align American foreign policy more closely with Israeli objectives, particularly in the Middle East. The war on terror saw the U.S. invade two countries, dramatically escalate its military posture, and dramatically escalate its intelligence posture. Actions that many in Israel's political and defense circles had long advocated for. This perspective is not unique to one person or one event. It reflects a broader pattern. Crises are leveraged to achieve pre-existing policy goals. Shock and fear after an attack create a political climate where leaders can push through measures unthinkable in peacetime. The public, desperate for security and retribution, becomes more willing to cede liberties and to support aggressive actions abroad. The architects of this response often stand to gain the most. Geopolitical alignment, increased defense budgets, the expansion of their own power. The tragedy becomes the justification, the emotional fuel for a pre-planned agenda. The expansion of the surveillance state is not just the work of government agencies, it is a public-private partnership. At the forefront of this collaboration is Palantir Technologies, a data analytics company co-founded by Peter Thiel, a billionaire tech investor who also had notable, though often downplayed, ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Palantir's business model is built on integrating and analyzing massive, disparate datasets to find hidden connections and predict future events. Its primary clients are government entities, CIA, NSA, FBI, numerous police departments. The company's software acts as the central nervous system for the modern surveillance state, making sense of the endless streams of data collected on citizens. Epstein's connections to this world of data mining and artificial intelligence are a critical, often overlooked part of his story. His interest in technology was not casual. He funded academics at prestigious institutions like MIT, Harvard, who were working on the cutting edge of data science and AI. He surrounded himself with tech luminaries and cultivated an image as a scientific philanthropist. However, viewed through the lens of his blackmail operations, this interest takes on a more sinister dimension. Epstein was deeply invested in the technologies of control and prediction, the very tools that could be used to monitor, model, and manipulate human behavior on a mass scale. His network intersected with the same circles that were building the private infrastructure for state surveillance. The rise of predictive policing is a direct result of the capabilities pioneered by companies like Palantir. This controversial practice uses historical crime data and other variables to forecast where and when future crimes are likely to occur, allowing police to preemptively deploy resources. Critics argue that it is a recipe for digital redlining, creating self-fulfilling prophecies where biased data leads to over-policing in minority and low-income communities. The convergence of Epstein's network, Thiel's Palantir, and the push for predictive policing reveals the symbiotic relationship between private capital, tech innovation, and state power. Shortly after the 9/11 attacks, the Pentagon, under the leadership of Donald Rumsfeld, launched one of the most ambitious and openly dystopian surveillance programs in American history, the Total Information Awareness, or TIA program. Run by DARPA and headed by John Poindexter, a figure previously convicted for his role in the Iran-Contra scandal, TIA's mission was explicit: It aimed to create a vast, centralized database to collect and analyze unimaginable amounts of information on every person in the United States. Financial records, medical histories, travel itineraries, communication logs, internet activity. The program's logo, an all-seeing eye atop a pyramid beaming light onto the globe, was a brazen symbol of its intent. Public outcry and congressional opposition eventually led to the official defunding of the TIA program in 2003. The idea of a single, all-encompassing government database was, at the time, a bridge too far for the American public and its representatives. However, the program did not die, it simply went dark. Its core components and research objectives were quietly dispersed and rebranded, absorbed into the classified budgets of the NSA and other intelligence agencies. The dream of total information awareness was too powerful for the national security state to abandon. It merely shed its public-facing skin and continued to grow in the shadows, free from public scrutiny. The revelations from Edward Snowden a decade later confirmed that the spirit of TIA was alive and well. PRISM, X-Keyscore. The NSA had successfully built the capability to hoover up global communications and vast amounts of personal data. The key difference was the method. Instead of building one giant government database, the intelligence community leveraged its authority to compel private technology companies to provide access to their users' data. Google, Facebook, Microsoft, the surveillance architecture became a public-private hybrid, more resilient and even more pervasive than the original TIA concept. This history is crucial for understanding the present. Carbine, Palantir, the push for systems like these are not new developments but the next logical steps in a long-term project. The goal has always been the same: to achieve total information dominance over the populace.